I'm in San Francisco, California, and I have the amazing honor of introducing you to Scott Barrett and Josh Harris, owners, operators of the Trick Dog, one of the best cocktail bars in the United States of America, and also co-founders, managing directors of the Bon Vivants, which is the premier spirits and marketing company in the world. If you think you haven't found your passion, you're figuring out where that's at, you gotta listen to these two stories because it's gonna knock your socks off. I'm so excited to introduce you to the world. And by the way, please respect our neighbors and shh, we're gonna let that rule go for about an hour. Take care, see you inside. It's Josh Harris, right? But Josh Harris, if I read correctly, I did a little research, I did, and Josh Harris was probably supposed to be a lawyer.
Probably.
Okay, so
Or maybe not.
Or,
At one point in time, probably.
I'm gonna make an assumption here, and I did not read this, but I could be wrong, that you're from a family of lawyers, potentially. I swear to God I didn't read it, but when I read the one line, I said, this kid's from a family of lawyers. It was kind of thought of, he's gonna be a lawyer. He's super smart, he's super talented, he's gonna go to amazing schools, he's gonna be the greatest thing in the world. And then here we are today. The man runs an unbelievable bar. He's a founding and managing director, partner, what have you, in the Bon Vivants, right, which is an amazing consulting firm that consults all over the United States. What happened? And how pissed were your parents and how happy are they now? I mean, right? Isn't that the story?
Yeah, so I don't always throw this out in this context, but I like the tone that's been created.
Good.
So I'm going to add this part in because it is a very important part of my story. So throughout almost the entirety of my education, I did not engage fully or even close to fully with the idea or the process of education. I was an athlete from a really young age. I felt like I was able to sort of move through grades and through schools, sort of just doing enough academically to get by.
It's kind of easy for you, right?
Yeah,
It wasn't hard, right?
And running fast.
Yeah, sure.
I ended up getting into college to run track.
Yep.
And sort of caved a little bit under the pressure, which is something that I can sort of look back at now. I did get hurt, but it gave me a way for me to be out, and it would have been my fourth knee surgery in a very short period of time. Also at that time, I started to use a lot of drugs.
Okay.
I dropped out of college and came back and did an inpatient treatment program, and I remember on the day that I went into the rehab, I dropped off an application for transfer to a new university that was one that I was like sort of excited about the opportunity of back here in San Francisco. I'm a native San Franciscan. Yep. I was like, if I get into this school, then I'm gonna go to school. And if I don't get in, then I'm not gonna go.
Right, right.
And 2 weeks later, my mom called me on the payphone at the rehab and was like, you got into USF. And I got out of rehab on December 17th. On like January 10th, I started school again. And I went from being sort of like a C student to graduating from USF summa cum laude in 2.5 years, completely inspired in this new area that I had never found inspiration with, an entirely new way of working and accomplishing tasks and engaging with other people and engaging with a product and work and learning and all of that stuff. So it was a complete 180, which, is like, I guess, this is like the textbook best case scenario for people that go through this sort of thing, right? So I was at that point extremely focused on going into a career in the law. I applied to law school at USF and I didn't get in.
He didn't get in. I didn't get into Penn State either, but keep going.
And so literally I was crushed.
Wow.
Because this was the first thing in this new chapter of my life that was like, wait, it's not all gonna go my way. I was, for the first time, filled with a lot of confusion about direction, which was something that from the point that I got sober, I was full of. I was like, this is my direction. I have something that I'm pursuing. I have something that I'm working for. I'm accomplishing these things and I'm moving in the direction that I want to move. Now I'm like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah, right.
The thing that I did was I bartended. And I had bartended.
But sober. But you're sober.
Being behind the bar is like, it's cool. Like it made me feel cool. I was like, this is awesome, you know?
Yeah.
The interaction between guests, the I've got the thing that you want, just the inherent social nature of this type of profession. So I was extremely drawn to it. So,
you were attracted to it. It was sexy.
Totally.
It was something you said, I like being here.
Totally. I'm like working on a street where there's like lots of young people going out. It's like, I
there's
bought
energy.
myself like a cool old car. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, this is the best job
I'm the
ever.
shit.
Right?
I don't know what mom and dad are thinking at this point, but you're going, hey, fuck it. I'm feeling good about my life.
So a year went by. I left the job that I was at, and there was a restaurant opening up down the street. And I interviewed to be the bar manager of that restaurant upon the recommendation of a mutual friend between the future owners of that restaurant and I. And they were like, well, we want to have like a fancy cocktail program. Can you do that? There were a couple spots in town that were doing it.
Yeah.
But really it wasn't like, the household thing where it's like you walk into a bar and if they don't have fresh juice, you're like, what
Yeah,
are you
well, right.
So they asked if I could do that. I lied through my teeth and said I could do it. And quite frankly, it was even like, that's sort of stupid because I was working at this neighborhood bar where people would come in and be like, do you have a cocktail menu? I'm like, cocktail menu?
Right. Here's Jack and soda. You got a beer on tap. Right.
$6,
right.
So the thing that happened at that place was that it was the first spark that a career could be made in this industry.
This is it.
So that, although that restaurant closed and we all left and it wasn't really what it was all cracked up to be, it was an extremely important stop in my story because it was the first time where I was like, hospitality generally, or I guess probably at the time I was thinking cocktails and mixology was the thing, right?
Yep.
Like that I could do.
Yep. So you realize you find this niche and you know that there's a niche out there that bars, lounges, whatever you want to call them. I'm thinking New York, I'm thinking lounges, I'm thinking bars, you're thinking San Francisco, they have a need for what?
There was one thing that I remember. There were these two guys that I tremendously looked up to. Guys that were accomplished barmen in San Francisco that were like the generation older than
They were the guys.
than me.
You didn't know them, they were the guys. So.
Yeah, no, I knew them.
You knew them,
for sure.
okay.
But it was like, I'd open the Chronicle, our newspaper here, every so often, and was like, oh, these two guys like doing another consulting gig.
Right.
Doing another consulting gig. That's so cool. I was like, I wonder how you become the guys that people call
That's right.
to do this.
Right.
If, like you need that, right? And then I got asked to do one. And this is one of those moments where like you talk about skill sets, and I remember like when Scott and I had met that there was a tremendous synergy at that time with the way that we were talking about drinks, the types of flavors that we liked, but also like a really good pairing of skills. And he had a good amount more time in the business than I.
Right.
And I felt like together within that dynamic, we would be stronger if we did something together. And so that was the core idea behind saying, well, why don't we start a company? And then we'll just be a company because we say that we're a company.
That's what he said too.
With a Facebook page and some business cards, you can be a company, right?
Right. With a Facebook page and some business cards,
It's true.
you can be a company, right? The Bon Vivants is born.
Became a company.
But what happens? It starts to, holy shit, because you're good at what you do, you have passion for what you do, you start to grow this consulting business, and right? I mean,
well, so at the time, and I don't know how much Scott and you talked about this, but this was August of 2009. We did that first job, and by December of 2009, we got two more. One of which was Quint's Restaurant, which they just got their third Michelin
That's
star.
right.
So that was sort of a very high profile opportunity for two guys that had just started a Facebook page and cut some business cards.
Right.
It's not like we just quit our jobs and said, let's start a company. Like we really sort of like white knuckled this thing for a long time.
Yep.
It wasn't until, a few years later that this actually became our full-time job.
awesome.
In that like we're stepping off the ledge onto that thing in Indiana Jones where you don't quite know where the stones are and like maybe you're gonna fall down. I can't tell you what it was that the Bon Vivant set out to do when it started its Facebook page and got business cards. We joked for a long time that like it was very challenging for us to give an elevator pitch, if you will. If you called and it had to do with cocktails and you were paying, or even if you weren't paying,
we're there, right.
We can do it.
Yeah, we can do it, right.
And that was out of two things. You know, number one, because we need to make money and we're hustling. We're trying to build this thing. Number two, it was, you know, what are the different tranches of this industry that we can be impactful in, that we're good at, what pays us well, and as we continue to grow, that evolved in a very significant way, because the Bon Vivants is a very different company now than what it was when it did those 3 consulting jobs in the second half of 2009.
That's how it goes.
It has an elevator pitch. It has a very specific purpose, and you know we haven't lost all of the. If there's something interesting, we can pursue it. But the primary thing that makes the company go around financially is like kind of in a nice little box, which is great.
Give me a piece of advice. Give me one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who said, you know, I want to be great. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be great at my job. What is a piece of advice that you could give to those people? Because you've been through a lot, and you've survived it, and obviously you're flourishing now with your businesses. What do you think that is?
The one that immediately came into my mind to say was, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
And that probably is something that I would apply continuously, daily. It's not like don't be afraid to start the thing. It's like don't be afraid to wake up and continue to move forward on any given day, no matter what's going on. Just get up and continue to move through your life being the best version of yourself that you can be, and applying that to whatever pursuit you're in, wherever your passions lie, whatever the tasks are that are in front of you that day.
I think it's perfect, man. I mean, you work your passion. I love it. It's a great story. Feels weird to say I'm proud of you because you're only 5 years younger, but I am, man. You're gonna make it. You've made it. You're gonna continue to make it. You're a hustler, man. Survivor, brother. I love it, man. It's good meeting you.
It's fun talking.
Absolutely. If you want to see more, check me out at MikeLuzio.com. Follow me on Instagram at Michael Luzio. Check out my Facebook page, Luzio versus Everybody. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're just getting started. It's the beginning, baby. Making it happen.